all my walls came down, all my inhibitions, any restraint I had was out the window. My parents got divorced when I was really little, so I was going back and forth from house to house, but I was pretty happy. Skateboarding and hanging out with the skater kids. One guy, Zach, when I was 12, he had stolen some a Budweiser tall can and some liquor. I don't remember really feeling drunk. I think I had trouble getting it down, so didn't really like it. But the next weekend, he had stolen some weed from his brother. I definitely got high. I definitely enjoyed that experience a lot. From that point forward, that was what I wanted to do for fun. And in high school, I really started partying a lot. And then I started selling weed. It helped me socialize, and people liked me because I sold weed, and people talked to me because I sold weed. The people that I was hanging around with, they weren't really hard into drugs. It was really just really heavy weed and alcohol use. At the end of my junior year in high school, my Uncle Tim passed away, and he was my father figure. So, my dad always lived out of state. So yeah, Tim was always there for me as a father figure. As soon as that happened, stuff just started spiraling out of control. I went to a rave for the first time when I was 17 or 18, I think. And I took ecstasy for the first time. And ecstasy is a really, really strong drug. I made some friends because we're on those drugs, and we believe that we're just kindred spirits. But I met this guy named Nicky, and him and I hit it off, and he's like, "Can you sell pills?" I had never sold a pill before in my life. We're talking and barbecuing, hanging out and getting to know each other. And he's like, "All right, so do you think you want to sell pills for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." He has me meet him in this parking lot on Central and Bethany Home. He's going out of town. He's like, "Here's 100 pills. He's like, "You owe me $800. I'll be back tomorrow." I sold a ton of pills. I made way more money than I needed to pay him back. I gave a bunch of pills away, so I made a bunch of friends, you know what I mean? So I was like, this is what's up. This is, I have arrived. And I graduated from selling weed to selling ecstasy. I think I was 18, 19. And I was just living this insane life of partying. All these people who didn't want to do anything with their life but party and do drugs, and people were dying left and right. People started getting in a lot of trouble, and I had to get out of that whole situation. Started a landscaping company when I was clean for a little while. I got involved with a girl. She was doing Percocets, and I had never done anything like that, and I was getting upset. I was like, "Why are you doing this stuff all the time? What's so appealing about it? Don't you see all these people addicted to this stuff, dropping left and right, they're miserable. Why would you want to do that?" And then eventually she couldn't stop doing it. So I was my bright idea was I need to try this, because if she can't stop doing it, there must be something appealing. It was game over. I felt like I was smarter. I felt like I could just get everything I needed to do done. I quickly found out that the feeling that you get the first time that you do something never happens again. I pawned all my guitars. I played guitar for a long time, my amps. I pawned everything that meant anything to me. Between the two of us, it was $400 or $500 a day, but somehow we would manage to pull it together every day. But eventually we got caught up with all that. Our family started being "What's going on with you?" They just gave me an ultimatum. They were either you can go to California for a little while and stay with your aunt and try to get clean, or, we're just not going to have anything to do with you. So I go to California and I get on Suboxone for a little while. Wasn't working any type of program. So I was still drinking and smoking weed really heavily. My landscaping business was toast. I started working for this other landscaping business, and it was a guy who did pills. I just went right back into exactly what I was doing before. But then I eventually ran out of everything, and there was this guy in the back unit that I would get pills from. So I'm asking him for Percocets or Oxys, and he's got none. He's like, I don't have anything for you. And he was shooting heroin at that point. So I'm like, just give me some of that. My girlfriend at that point is withdrawing, so I'm just willing to do anything to just ease that pain. And I've always heard that it was like cheaper and stronger, but I like was never willing to cross that line. She is like telling me that it's a bad idea. And I'm like, okay, you know, like I'll think about it for a second. But then like very quickly we both changed our minds and we're like, all right, let's do it. It was like my first time getting high all over again. I could get so much heroin for a tenth of the price that I could get the pills for. Everything went to shambles extremely quickly. And then I started doing more and more illegal stuff. I took like a title loan out on my truck. I lost the apartment, so we moved back in with her parents, became friends with this guy that was selling heroin. We were like hanging out over there all the time, and it was just this like heroin den, you know, just like a disgusting place where people just like hang out and shoot heroin and smoke crack, and like just everybody looks like they're fucking dying. I stopped caring about anything and everything that mattered to me. I feel like my family dynamic is like really unique, at least like on my mom's side. We're very, very, very close. You know, once I disconnected from them, that was when I like really stopped caring about everything. We came home that night and I had like bought needles from the guy too, syringes, and we were planning on like continuing to do that. We came home that night and we were like watching a movie on the couch, and her mom could tell that we were just fucked up out of our minds. So she started going through my girlfriend's purse and found the dope and the syringes. Didn't say anything to us at the time, but we woke up the next morning and went to go like do dope, and there was nothing there. We couldn't find it. And like we were like losing it, tearing the house apart trying to find this. And then her mom was like, okay, you know, what is going on? Like, you guys need to be honest. Her dad showed up and my mom showed up that morning, and it was like kind of an intervention type thing. My mom kind of influenced me to go to school to do hair because she has been a hairstylist my whole life. So I go to the cosmetology school, and it's a school full of girls. Didn't miss a day of school. And I got into like a really serious relationship pretty early on in cosmetology school. She didn't drink or do drugs or anything like that. She was like a perfect angel. I ran into an old friend and I started doing like Percocets here and there every once in a while. It was okay for a while. I was still going to school. I was still doing everything like pretty normal. I was like maintaining, but eventually it caught up with me, and she could tell something was going on because I was like nodding out or I was like being weird. And she started to notice, and she started like getting on my back pretty heavily. Well, I was like, I gotta start doing heroin again because I can't afford these pills anymore. So now I'm doing meth and heroin together. My appearance just tanks, like to where she is like, what the fuck is going on? Like, seriously, like you just got a check for like $3,500 and you're almost out of fucking money and you look like you're about to die. I just made up whatever excuse I possibly could. I ran out of money and I started like stealing from her, stealing from my family. She stuck by my side for so long. Like, I can't believe how long she stuck by me. Her dad had passed away from heroin addiction, and I didn't find this out for a long time, but like eventually she like walked into the bathroom after I had been smoking heroin in there, and she like recognized the smell. She told me all about her dad, and I was like, holy shit, like I had no idea, like that's horrible. But it wasn't enough to make me stop, you know. Eventually I gave up on trying to get sober, and I just decided that I was going to be a heroin dealer. I was living in hotels selling heroin. I was surrounding myself with like seriously bad people, not only overdosing all the time, but like people were killing each other left and right, like over the dumbest stuff. And the police don't care. Everybody in that lifestyle is so disconnected from society. Nobody has phones in their own names, no identification, nothing. There's these like snuff films, and like they target homeless people. They pick them up off the street, kill them on camera, and like people buy these videos online and like pay to see them. These are the types of things that were happening all around me. I was smart enough to like move on before anything could happen to me. Don't get me wrong, like I was robbed at gunpoint many times. I was like beaten almost to death. Once you get into that lifestyle, it is just amplified. Nobody cares about anybody but themselves. So I was in like heavy psychosis at this point. And then I did a heavy dose of drugs, which just made me absolutely lose my fucking mind. So I ended up outside of my hotel room because I'm just like hallucinating, and the police come by and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Holy shit, nothing." They're like, "Sit down on the curb and maybe they'll just let me go." But I'm like, actually, I'm hoping that they don't, so maybe I can get some help. They come over and I'm like talking to myself and like just losing it. And I decide that I'm just going to act like I'm absolutely losing my mind and I'm being attacked by demons. And like, I was like, I don't know if I have a warrant or not. So I don't want to go to jail. So I'm just going to act like I'm losing my mind and maybe they'll just take me to the hospital. Because I don't think I had any ID on me. They don't find any drugs on me. Everything I own is in this hotel room, which is just like a bunch of junk anyways. Honestly, it's like a bunch of stuff. People traded me for drugs and like a bunch of shitty clothes, like nothing I really needed. They put me in the back of the SUV because I'm like telling them that I want to go to CBI. I'm like, please just take me to get help. I just want treatment. Please help me. And they're like, okay, we'll take you to CBI. So I'm in the back of the SUV trying to kick the door open and get out. And they get pissed. And they stop the car and they're like, this is like serious, like rock bottom. Like, look at yourself right now, Ian. Like, seriously, like look at your life. What are you doing? So we show up to CBI and I am so out of control that CBI is like, no, we're not going to deal with him right now. So they take me to this place called UPC, and UPC is like urgent psychiatric care. So it's for people that are like losing their minds. I black out because as soon as I get in there, they hit me with these shots in my arms. I remember waking up and I'm in this like chair in this big room full of chairs. And there's like this movie playing and I'm like super disoriented. I like can't even stand because my feet for some reason hurt so bad. I didn't even have the will to like stand up. I was up for like 10 days with 1 day of sleep in between, you know? So I slept for like 3 days, come to, and they're like, you want to come see the doctor? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I get up and he's like, are you ready to leave? And I'm like thinking to myself at this point, what am I gonna fucking do with myself when I leave here? Like, I don't want to live anymore. So I tell him that, which was a horrible idea, but it was the best thing that could have happened. So he puts me in this other unit with all these people that it's like seriously like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. I had slept off the heroin and meth, and like I start withdrawing from the heroin at this point, and I'm like pissed. And I'm just around all these absolutely insane people. I can't talk. There's nobody to even talk to. Everybody's totally losing their minds. I'm like trying to figure the situation out. I'm like, I don't want to be here, but I like don't want to be on the streets. So I'm like talking to this nurse, and I wanted like medication and stuff to be like treated for my withdrawals. So she's like, I'll send your packet out. And like, luckily they send my packet out, and this place, Valley Hospital, comes and picks me up and they take me there. And I had been there like many times before. So I was like, awesome. They feed you really good, and they like, nurse you back to health, and they give you all these medications to like, and these vitamins to like help you feel better. But I had started like being in contact with my family a little bit, and they brought me some clothes. So I was like feeling a little bit better. I'm just going to take advice. I'm just going to do anything anybody tells me to do. They suggest going to this treatment center, and it's like a 60, 90, 120 day treatment center. And I'm like, okay, yeah, of course, absolutely, I'll do it. Feeling a little better after eating and like all that. So I'm like kind of getting my own ideas again, like, oh, I might just like go out there and use one more time, or I might, like. But then I got a phone call and they're like, somebody left. We can do like your admission tomorrow if you can come in. If that's not some type of divine intervention, I don't know what is, because like I had almost made up my mind that I was just going to go out and keep using because I couldn't wait. My really good friend that I've had for a long time showed up, and he was chairing a meeting there one night. I was like, this guy this guy's sober right now? This guy has this long? I tell him, you know, I'm like, you're sponsoring me. And he's like, yeah, you know, cool, I'll sponsor you. So then I started like participating in my sobriety, calling him every day. I started, you know, doing the work that he gave me to do. And when I started getting in my own head, I just like got in the habit of like praying and meditating and like doing different things, or like calling my family. And like luckily, you know, my family like stuck with me through all of it. Like they never gave up on me. You know, I stayed in treatment for 4 months, and I got all the work that I was supposed to get done, and I was ready to start helping other people once I got out of treatment. But it sounds so easy, but it's actually like extremely difficult to get a person that isn't willing to do it. So I started like setting goals for myself, and I realized that I wanted to be doing hair again. So I stuck by it and I kept doing the work, and like eventually it paid off. I had this job opportunity fall into my lap. I have a beautiful relationship with my family today, and like that's what I treasure more than anything is my family. I had a massive debt to pay off to get my driver's license back, and I was able to accomplish that. I had to lose everything to really appreciate everything. I notice it as soon as I stop going to meetings as much, or as soon as I stop like interacting with the people like in my sober community, like I just get this sense of like impending doom. Like I really watch out for who I let into my life, and for who I help, and for who I open up to, you know. And I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, because some people can be very convincing at first. You've got to really get to know people before you decide to really open up and let them into your life.
Detox to Rehab wants to help as many people as possible, and do it the right way. Please subscribe, comment, and like our channel. Thank you for watching.